Hello. Okay, let me start by saying I'm silly, I'm energetic, and I'm ADHD. So let's get started. My talk is about overcoming the challenges of mentoring. Successful mentoring doesn't just happen, it is planned. So many people, well, let me do this first. This is me, Kim Crayton. I have a website called Junior Dev Mentoring. Those are my 2 Twitter handles. I blog, Tech Talk for Non-Techies. I'm always introducing non-technical people to technical things because the world is not going back and they really need to catch up. This is no longer a toy, this is a tool, and people should use it as such. And I'm also getting my doctorate's degree, and my research topic is mentoring strategies for senior developers. So how did all this start? I wrote a blog post, Stop Lying to Newbies. Please stop telling us that after 90 days of this course, after 30 days of this course, after 45 days of doing this, you will be ready to get a junior developer job. That is not the truth. And what happens is people like me who come in from different backgrounds where we've had success, when we hear that and all we now know how to do is, because basically after these, all you really know how to do is syntax. You don't know how to solve problems, really. There's so much more to learn. We turn it in on ourselves. We internalize it. Oh, I'm stupid. Why can't I figure this out? Why is it taking me so 2 weeks to get a dev environment? Because people aren't being honest with newbies, and we need the people in the industry. We can't keep telling this story because people who could really get these jobs done leave because they can't. Somebody who invested $14,000 in a boot camp and still can't get a job, they need to go back to their life. And so that's a big issue. And these can be found on my blog. And most recently, there was an article, Atlanta, Seattle, and Chicago are desperate for software engineers, which made me write that blog post, Investing in the Future of Technology. Because one of the conversations I'm always a part of is you have people who are learning to code over here, and then you have people who want coders or programmers. And they act like that the others don't exist. So if you're looking for a programmer, I hope you understand that looking for senior programmers is kind of fruitless. Every senior programmer has the job they want and has it the way they want it. And so it is in our best interest to build up the pipeline for all these technical companies and devices. And I mean, we're talking about artificial intelligence, we talked about our virtual reality, we talked about MIDI. Somebody has to create all this stuff. And everybody, you did not come out of the womb knowing how to walk. Somebody helped you learn to walk. And so we need to do a better job of helping people who are learning to code, people who are passionate about learning to code, get into those positions so that someday we will have the breadth of qualified developers that we need. So I hope you can read this, but it's just, there's an ongoing mantra within the developer community that there are far more jobs than can be filled. But nobody seems to be happy about that because everybody's complaining, but nobody's qualified to fill those jobs. The challenges, a number of newbies entering the field, there are a number of newbies entering the field, but they leave because they can't find jobs. They can't find support. It's just very challenging for any newbie to level up without somebody guiding your hand. You need that voice in your ear saying, hey, you've been working on this a little too long. Go to Google or go to something else. Go take a nap, whatever. We don't, in other fields, you're expected to be, we come from education. You're expected to be an expert on day one. This is the first field I've ever been in where people are like, you're gonna figure it out. Figure it out? What do you mean figure it out? I can make mistakes. That was a big paradigm shift for me. Open source is not copying I can copy Google and get somebody's code and I won't get the plagiarism police won't come after me. What? Especially coming from education. And that I can make mistakes. What? I can make mistakes? Oh, I can make mistakes. And no one's gonna call me, well, I can make mistakes. It took me months to get that, to wrap that around my head because that's just not what You don't want your doctor to make mistakes. It's a practice, but you want him to practice well. You don't want him to say, I don't know, let me Google this. No, dude, no. And the developer community is overwhelmingly generous. I've never met, you guys blow my mind. I've never met such generous people in my life. No one gives anything away in education. Nobody. It belongs to somebody. You need somebody's permission. You need to pay somebody. So this is just like, it's blown my mind. And also the business, when I started, again, I'm a researcher. So when I started doing the research, business costs associated with corporate hiring managers' inability to recruit and retain skilled workers at the entry level it's increasing. And organizational leaders, 89% of them are saying they can't fill jobs. They can't level up because they don't have the people. They're late on deliverables. All these things because of people like you aren't in their seats and their companies helping to build up. So what we're going to talk about are 4 quadrants of mentoring. I like to start. This is like a part 1 for me. I like to start by just explaining what mentoring is professionally, so that people understand there's a difference between personal and professional mentoring as well as youth and adult mentoring. So youth mentoring is focused on helping the young person navigate adolescence and successfully transition into adulthood. It's focused on the young person figuring out who I am and who I'm becoming. It's gaining knowledge, that young person gaining knowledge and skills, and this could include, I've done family counseling, I've done everything. You never know when you take on a young person what you're gonna have to deal with. And so that's what it is, and it's one-way focus, as it should be. It's not about the adult in that situation. It's all about getting that young person to where they need to be, so they're productive, tax-paying, law-abiding citizens. That's what the goal is. When you're dealing with adults, mentoring, it's focused mainly on gaining career success. So it's focusing on how do I become the best at what I do. It's acquiring and demonstrating knowledge and skills, and its best practice is mutually beneficial. No one wants to work with somebody they don't like. So if I'm mentoring somebody or I'm being mentored by somebody, I don't need to know when your mom's birthday is, but I do want to be able to sit in a room with you for an hour and not want to slap you upside the head. I mean, it's that kind of thing. And mentors, unlike adults, unlike youth, can be cast in either role. If I know something, I may be in the mentor role at this moment, but if you know something, I may be in the mentee role, and it can go back and forth. So you find yourself in both roles. So personal mentoring can take any form. It's unstructured and it's open-ended. I've had mentors for 15 years. And I've talked to them about personal stuff, I've talked to them about business stuff, I've talked to them about all kinds of things. They're my greatest cheerleaders and also the person who can whip me and just, hey, stop focusing on that. I get my most honest feedback from my mentors, but it's a personal mentorship. Professional mentoring should be seen as more like an apprenticeship program. It's well-defined goals and objectives. When you're mentoring somebody in a profession, there has to be outcomes. If they want to learn, if they want to be a front-end developer, well, you know that they need to know CSS, HTML, and JavaScript. Angular and all that other stuff is extra, but you know those are the basics. So that's the goal of trying to get them to that spot. So you know what that is, and you need to be able to measure that. So what we're going to focus on are adults in a professional environment. What mentoring is not. It is not one-off problem solving. Stack Overflow and Slack is not mentoring. Stack Overflow is a whole different beast. And it's pretty scary for newbies, but that's not mentoring. That's, my house is on fire, I need the firemen, can you come put out my house? Because that's what that is. I can't get this thing to work, I need help right now. That's not mentoring. It's not casual. If you decide to be a mentor, it's not, I want to do, it's on the schedule, but I don't want to do it. I owe my wife or my husband or whatever. It's not that. It's not casual. It's not if I want to do it today, then I don't want to do it tomorrow. I've literally had people who we were working on something, we were pair programming, and then we were supposed to schedule something, and they just don't show up. They don't answer texts, they don't come back on Slack. It's like they don't know how to say, hey, something happened in my life, but they just drop off the face of the earth. I don't know if they died or what, but I never hear from these people again. That's not mentoring. And it's not static, it evolves. When people develop their skills, it keeps going. You keep moving. It's scaffolding, you build. What mentoring is, it's a relationship. Like any relationship, if you value it, you respect it, and you put time and energy into it. So it's something that you nurture. It doesn't just happen overnight. It may be uncomfortable to give feedback or to receive feedback, but over time you get to that place. It's personal, it's a personal connection. Again, we're not talking about I need to come to your daughter's wedding or we need to vacation together, but there's a connection there. There's a mutual respect. It's a commitment. Either it doesn't have to be as long-term as personal. As I say, my relationships and just go on, my personal mentoring relationships have gone on for years. But there's a commitment, and there might be a deadline. I can only do this for 3 months, or I can only do this as we work on this one project. And it's professionally transformational to newbies. Gaining a mentor is one of the biggest, I've heard from other newbies, is the biggest thing for them to level up their skills and get the jobs that they really want. So factors to think about when for effective mentoring. Mentors need to evaluate your motivation. You need to just get out of your ego. Just be honest. Some people are doing it because I want to be a mentor. Well, everybody's not great for a mentor. Some people just don't need to be in contact with other people. And that's just great. That's just fine. But be honest about that. You might have the skills a lot. Coming from education, it takes a lot to take a forest idea and to break it out into trees and meet the learner where they are. It's not intimidating. It's not condescending. And it's okay if that's what you are, but you don't need to be with learners. You need to stay where you are. You need to take an honest assessment of your time, your talent, and your temperament. If you don't have the time, then don't do this. If you are used to being a senior or whatever, you yell at people, maybe mentoring is not right for you. Or you can figure out some other way to teach. It's just, you need to be really careful when you're dealing with learners, because a lot of people say they have imposter syndrome. I don't believe in imposter syndrome for people who are learning to code. If, as I said, you don't come out of the womb walking, you have to learn to walk. You roll over, you scoot, you crawl, you do all these other things. So a lot of newbies think they have imposter syndrome, and it's not. It's just a normal way of learning. And so you need to understand that. You're gonna tell them something today, and they're gonna forget it tomorrow. My students were special needs. I had to reteach the same thing every single day. And you have to set realistic goals. Newbies, we do not have realistic goals, especially for us who've fallen for you'll learn the code in 90 days. We don't know what reality is because people have been just lying, so we don't know. We don't know that seniors also have issues with development environments because no one talks about that. And for a mentee, it needs to be reciprocity. You need to understand that this person is giving your time, and you need to respect that. You need to respect the mentoring relationship, and you need to have identified goal outcomes. So again, it's measurable. It's not nebulous. It's measurable goals. Reasons for why we need it is the industry needs to do a better job at recruiting and retaining the numbers of developers needed. Again, reiterating, newbies find it difficult to level up on their own. Learning to code is hard. Please stop telling people it's not hard. It's hard. It's learning a new language, and learning a new language at 40 is hard. And without someone there to give you a reality check, we feel that we turn it on ourselves and we quit. And since there's no clearly defined path, like when you go into medicine, it's 1, 2, 3. This is the Wild West out here. People are coming from every conceivable place. And so we need mentors to help us figure out how to navigate this whole environment. And so I like to end with, and I'll ask you, if everybody would, you could either take out your phone or just mentally, cast yourself in the role of mentor or mentee and write 3 of your personal strengths and 3 of your personal challenges. And then I'll ask 2 people to volunteer in and tell me what those are. And so I won't take too long. So think of 3 personal strengths. If you were a mentor, what are 3 strengths you bring to that role as a mentor? What are 3 challenges? If you're a mentee, what are 3 strengths you bring to that role, and what are 3 challenges? And if somebody would raise their hand when they're ready, so I can walk you through what this is. So I guess I could entertain you. Well, I guess I should have went to that Scottish dance thing the other day, because I'm standing here and I'm like, what am I gonna do? Hi, everybody. Yes, you ready? There you go.
Big challenges.
Oh, first of all, what role are you in?
Mentor.
Okay.
As a mentor, a big challenge for me is my desire to sometimes want to just grab the keyboard and do it for someone.
Okay. So what I do is, and so that's your challenge. Give me a strength.
Usually pretty approachable and patient up until that point.
Okay. So let's look at this challenge, coupled with that strength, and see how we can make that positive. So you said you're pretty approachable until, what is the threshold where you say, you know what, give me the keyboard?
Usually the actual, like, going through the actual typing process. You know, we agree to, you know, the person understands what they want to do, and I want to get to the next step. It's the boilerplate. It's not the easy. It's the boilerplate. It's the getting started stuff versus solving the problem. Sometimes I want to quickly help them through that.
Okay, so let me give you an analogy. We'll go back to this baby walking. Okay, so they have to learn, get the muscles right, so they roll over right. It takes them a while to even get that head together, and then they roll over. And you can't rush that, right? There's nothing you can do but just sit there and just roll. I know you can do it, roll. And so if you put it in that perspective, are you doing more harm than good by taking the keyboard for them? Because they have to get that muscle memory. They have to figure it out. So what I would suggest to you to do is walk away. Say, you know what, I'm gonna leave you for 15 minutes. Figure this, see if you can, I'm gonna see how far you can get. If you can't when I come back, then we'll look at the first step. And then you just gotta break it down step by step. Because what's gonna happen when you're not there to grab the keyboard? Anybody else wanna share? Come on, yes. What role are you in?
I'm the mentee.
Okay.
A strength I have is that I know I'm intelligent, but my weakness is that I'm a visual learner instead of a mathematical or logical learner, and so it's difficult for me to grasp technical concepts when they're explained to me in a certain way.
Okay, first of all, I'm gonna say something. When you say but, you negate everything before that. So you are intelligent, period, and then you start a new sentence. All right, so with that, if you explain that up front when you meet with your mentor, I learn best by visual, then that's solved. Then with all the tools that are out there, you can screen share, you can pair program, they can send you to videos. That's how I learn. I mean, I get something, and the first, that page of Google stuff that has all the words, I go straight to video. And then it takes me a few videos because I like to see how different people solve problems, because again, there's no one way to solve a problem. So if you can look at videos or whatever, if they can draw, but if you tell them that up front, it's not a deficit. That's just your learning style. That's another thing. Just because someone does not learn or take in information the way we do is not a deficit. We all have value, and we need to respect that. If, again, we need to get the level of developers, juniors, to where they can actually work on their own. So with that, I want to say thank you. I'm Kim Crayton, and I need mentors on my website. Please, 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 juniordevmentoring.com. What it is the eHarmony matching for mentors and mentees. What I want is I want a load of mentors on that site so mentees can pick and choose, and you can work on projects together. And what I'm going to build into the site, one of the things that I've heard are mentors don't know where to start. project-based learning. All we do all day is work on projects. So why not start with project-based learning? It's so simple. It's something that you can do a pre-test for, a post-test for. It's very measurable. So thank you and have a good day.